Hi everyone, in this video we are going to be looking at the temperature zones of the atmosphere. Up to this point we've looked at the atmosphere diagram and established the altitude and how altitude changes as you move up and down the atmosphere, looking at the different layers of the atmosphere and identifying how big they are and how high up in the sky they go. In this video we're going to start taking a look at the temperature and how temperature changes in the different layers of the atmosphere. Here's the diagram that we have become familiar with. If we look at the diagram and we go ahead and we look at the black line that runs across the diagram, I'm highlighting it here now. This line actually tells us the temperature at different points in the Earth's atmosphere. So this entire black line tells you the temperature at different altitudes in the Earth's atmosphere. So let's go ahead and look at a few important points on this line and try to identify the temperature at different points. Notice the temperature is given on the very bottom of the diagram. The temperature is in degrees Celsius. So if we look here, we can see that the black line starts right here where I just put this purple dot. This is the very bottom of the troposphere. Also, where the atmosphere meets the surface of the Earth. We can look here and look at the temperature scale and see at the very bottom of the troposphere, the temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. As I keep moving up in the atmosphere, this line tells me what the temperature is at different points in the troposphere. So if I go to the top of the troposphere, and I look at the temperature at the top of the troposphere, also known as the tropopause, I could follow this dotted line down and see at the tropopause, the temperature is negative 55 degrees Celsius. So by analyzing this line, I can see that as I increase my altitude in the troposphere, as I go up in the troposphere, the temperature goes from 15 degrees Celsius to negative 55 degrees Celsius. So if I'm going from 15 degrees Celsius to negative 55 degrees Celsius, the temperature is going down. As you move up in the troposphere, the temperature decreases. Now remember, we live in the troposphere. The troposphere is the air we breathe, and this might make sense to you if you've ever climbed a mountain or seen pictures of very tall mountains. We often see that it's colder at the top of the mountains. We might see snow at the top of a mountain. That's because as we move up in the troposphere, the temperature goes down. If I keep following this line into the stratosphere, the second layer of the atmosphere, I can see what the temperature is at different points in the stratosphere. So at the bottom of the stratosphere, which is also the tropopause, the temperature is negative 55. As I move up in the stratosphere, I could see that the temperature is actually going back up now. At the top of the stratosphere, or at the stratopause, where this black line meets the stratopause, I can see that the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. So in the stratopause, the temperature at the bottom was negative 55 degrees. And at the top of the stratosphere, the temperature went up to 0 degrees. So I'm going from a negative number to 0. That means the temperature is increasing. As you move up in the stratosphere, the temperature increases. I now enter the mesosphere. I can keep following my black temperature line, which goes across. So at the bottom of the mesosphere, where we just were with the stratopause, the temperature is 0 degrees. If I follow the black line, the temperature at the top of the mesosphere, also known as the mesopause, I can follow down and see the temperature here is negative 90 degrees. So in the mesosphere, the temperature at the bottom is 0 degrees Celsius. And as I move up in the mesosphere, the temperature goes down to negative 90 degrees Celsius. In the mesosphere, the temperature is decreasing as you move up. The last layer of the atmosphere on our diagram is the thermosphere. I can follow my temperature line all the way up in the thermosphere. And I could see in the thermosphere, it starts at negative 90 degrees. And if I were to follow this black temperature line towards the top of the thermosphere, I can see the temperature seems to go up pretty high, even upwards over 100 degrees Celsius. So in the thermosphere, the temperature is increasing as you move up and increase your altitude. So when we are looking at this diagram, if the temperature line seems to go diagonal, kind of like a backslash, the temperature is decreasing as you move up in the atmosphere. And if the temperature line kind of looks more like a forward slash, that means the temperature is increasing with altitude. Okay, so let's do some practice questions to get a little more familiar with this temperature scale on the diagram. So remember, the temperature is represented by that black line. If I look at some practice questions here, for example, they might ask, what is the temperature of the tropopause? Remember, the tropopause is just that one specific area that's signified by this dotted line here. This is the tropopause. I'm highlighting in yellow. If I'm looking for the temperature at the tropopause, I want to see where this black solid temperature line meets the dashed line that represents the tropopause. So my temperature line is this solid black line. It meets the tropopause right here. That's where the two lines intersect. At the tropopause, my temperature is negative 55 degrees Celsius. Number 2 says, what is the temperature of the stratopause? Let's go back to our diagram. We're going to find the stratopause. I will highlight the stratopause in yellow. The stratopause goes across here at this altitude. To find the temperature, we want to find where the stratopause intersects with that solid black temperature line. That looks like it's right about here. At the stratopause, the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. Number 3 says, in which layer would you find a temperature of 50 degrees Celsius? So we're looking for 50 degrees Celsius. Let's go back to our diagram. This time we're going to start on the bottom looking at the temperature scale. Here's 0 degrees Celsius, here's 15 degrees Celsius, and here's 100 degrees Celsius. 50 would be somewhere directly in between 0 and 100. Let's say 50 would be right about here maybe, 50 degrees Celsius. So I'm looking now, if I say 50 degrees Celsius is in this area, I want to go up and see where the black line intersects with this 50 degrees Celsius line. So if I draw a dotted line up, I could see this spot right here at this location in the atmosphere is where I can find a temperature of 50 degrees Celsius, and I can identify in my diagram that this happens to be the thermosphere. Number 4 says, in the troposphere, as you increase your altitude, is the temperature decreasing or increasing? So let's go back to our diagram and think about this. In the troposphere, if we're increasing our altitude, we're moving up in the troposphere. I'm moving up in the troposphere, increasing my altitude. How does the temperature change? Well, let's see. At the bottom of the troposphere, at the very bottom of the troposphere, right here, the temperature, where this black line is at the very bottom, is 15 degrees Celsius. And as I go up in the troposphere, I could see the temperature changes. At the top of the troposphere, the temperature goes to negative 55 degrees Celsius. Negative 55 degrees is much colder than 15 degrees. So as I move up in the troposphere, the temperature decreases. It goes down. Okay, that's all for this video. Please be sure to be careful to follow the black temperature line as it changes through the different layers of the atmosphere. And remember that the temperature values are given at the very bottom of the diagram. Have a great day.